I'm working with Bat4 right now. We left off with Bat3. Bat4 is saved because I had just gone ahead after the last video and just extended out, based on that background image, these little bone structures. That's all. I'll press the D key, go to Backdrop, and for the top left, under Presets, Load Preset, here's the Backdrop Reference Setup. Now, one thing I wanted to point out that I realized I did, I told you to save the backdrop after we put all of those in. Under presets, we did save backdrop, save current backdrop. And what that actually did was save just the top left one. We needed to save all backdrops. So if you come across that, that's why. So for the bottom left, I'm going to load the front view again, which, if I remember correctly, we changed to 5 meters, like that. And then the bottom right, load image, side view, and this was about 1.8 or so. And that fits that one. So now instead of preset, save current backdrop, we want save all backdrops. So we'll say backdrop reference all. So now you have the top view saved as well as all of them when you load that up. So I've actually made that mistake a few times in the past. I hit save backdrop thinking it's saving all, but it's only saving the current one that's selected right here. Alright, so let's take a look at what I did. I went in and just very simply used the exact same technique that we did all the way down the arm. I'm going to press the D key and let's go to GL view, and we're going to turn off, actually viewport, where is it? Layout, always gets me. Show guides. Show cages. We're going to turn that off for our subdivisions, making things a little bit easier to see. And what I did was, just like you saw in the other video for the leg and for the arm, just using a multi-shift and then a move, rotate, scale, that process all the way down. Took a polygon here, multi-shift, took a couple of polygons actually, multi-shift, shaped it into more of a round form before the rest of the multi-shift happened, which then allowed me to create that shape I needed all the way down. After I used multi-shift and then just extruded out and sized and shaped these end polygons, of course turning at the joints so we have a little bit of curvature, I then took a selection of polygons in between, like we had done earlier, and just used Bandsaw Pro here under the Multiply tab. And that then sliced it up evenly. And we're going to need that because if we want this wing to bend, we need more geometry in there. So let's talk about the wing. So this is version 4. I'm going to save this incrementally as version 5 so you can load up 4 and continue on if you'd like. And what we want to do is build this wing. So I'm going to go to a new layer, and very simply we need to build this. Now I can use something like this. Under the Create tab there is the spline draw, and I actually like this one a lot. And you can take this tool and it's going to make a curve like that. So we need to tighten it in the corners like that. But I like it because we can use it like this and have a little bit of a smooth shape here to follow. And you're only putting a control point essentially where there's a joint or a curve. And when you need it tighter, put 2 little points together. But the only problem with using a tool like this is that we really want to create a quad mesh. And so how well will we be able to do that with this? I should also point out I got lazy and only did 3 wing bones here. I did not do this inner bone. You're more than welcome to. It was not something I was too worried about. Now remember, I'm following the wing pattern here, not so much the arm. And then we're going to get back up here, and I'm going to open up numeric, and then here you can see there's end and start controls. And so right here, what I want to do is say closed curve, and it will connect that back end. Okay, well, what do you do with this thing after it's done? You turn off the tool, press the D key, go to backdrop, and let's turn this view off. All right, this is nothing more than a curve right now. Okay, follows the shape pretty well. We can then press the T key, we'll move it down into that wing area. Again, I'll press the D key for the back view here. And then for the bottom right view, let's turn that one off. That way we can see everything. And we need to turn this into a quad mesh. So you need to freeze this. It's just a curve right now. It's not really any polygons that would render. So if you jump over to the Construct tab, down at the bottom under the Convert category, there is a button called Freeze. And that does exactly what we need. We needed to freeze that curve into polygons. And now you can see that there's a nice big bat wing mesh. However, this goes back to kind of our very beginning of modeler lessons, where I was showing you if you try to bend something that's not made up of a number of polygons, it will just kind of crack and become non-planar. We need this to be really smooth, kind of like that mesh that we had underneath that we were building over. So in another layer, what I'm going to do is put the bat wing in a backdrop. I'm going to go to the Create tab, go to the box, and we're going to draw out a flat box in this top view, just encompassing it. And then with my mouse still in this view, I'm going to use my right arrow and my up arrow and make a quad mesh. Kind of like that. And I want those relatively square, so I'm going to go like that. Then I'm going to go and join these in a way that's using a Boolean function. It's not essentially cutting out a hole, but it's using that outline shape to basically cut away, make a cookie cutter of this mesh. So making sure that that curve is in the background, which is now frozen, and our nice new quad mesh, we're going to use a combine function, and that's right here under the Construct tab. There's Boolean, solid drill, and drill. Boolean will allow us to cut holes in things using two layers. And let me just quickly show you that. It's probably one of the most common things you'll use with Booleans. I'm also going to press Command S to save this version, just in case we make an error. And here is just a box. Okay, it's got a number of segments in it because it remembered what we had just done. Then I'm going to take a disk in another layer, and this is the trick. It has to be in another layer. Okay, just like that. I want the hole to cut out the box. I want a hole through the box. Well, you can see that because the box is a black wireframe, it's in the background. So I want to reverse these layers. So I'm going to hit my little single quote key. That's 2 over from the L on my keyboard. That reverses those layers. What's background is foreground, and what's foreground is background. So the cutting tool is that background layer, that disk. Then if I go back to Construct, and I choose Boolean, and I choose Subtract, this understands background from foreground. And we just cut a hole right through there. Okay, so that's what we're going to do here, but a little bit different. Outline in the background, mesh in the foreground, and we're going to use a different combine, one called drill. And because these objects are flat, the drill will work well for us. And what we want is the y-axis, which is up and down, because obviously there's nothing going to happen at z or x, and we want to core it, like coring an apple. And now we have a relative quad mesh based on that curve. And the reason I say relative is because, well, you can see some of these ends here are kind of like little triangles and things. And what will happen is that when we hit the subdivision of a subpatch, we're going to get an error. Because again, Modeler and Lightwave like triangles or quads. But if we go to Catmull-Clark subdivisions and hit the tab key, that subdivides really well. And what that means is, and I'm going to save this, if I go under Create, and I use something like, let's go to Modify, and I use something like Bend, and I just grab this. See how nice that wing bends? And the subdivision plays a nice role. Okay, and we'll thicken that out, but that's why we need that quad mesh, so we can flap that wing. So I'm going to reverse this, and Command X to cut away that outline. So now we need to get this wing attached.